But this morning, it's April 30th, when the swine flu concern has spread around the world. And I thought maybe we could talk this morning about how A Course in Miracles would have us look at swine flu. The most important thing to remember when we begin to talk about a specific concern or problem is that the Course does not address any of these. And the reason that it does not address any specific issues any of us has is because all the problems are perceived as being the same. That's why the first principle of miracles is that there's no order of difficulty among them, which is a correction for the ego's first law of chaos, that there's a hierarchy of illusions. All the problems that confront us in the world, no matter what they are on a personal or collective basis, are simply projections of the single problem that we all share, which is our decision to join with the ego instead of the Holy Spirit, the decision to make the separation from God real, and the concomitant thoughts of sin, guilt, and fear real as well. All these then become projected out into the world and take all different forms. What is most important as we look at a specific situation like swine flu is to use it as a way of monitoring our own thinking, our own reactions. Aside from the normal reactions, saying that we should take whatever precautions would be appropriate, as we would with any concern or problem, despite these concerns and despite the form of the problem, our response, if we are right-minded, would still be peaceful. Lesson 34 is always very instructive in this regard. I could see peace instead of this. And this would be whatever it is that arouses anxiety in us, engenders guilt, causes us to be afraid. We could still see peace instead of this, because peace is a decision in the mind, and the mind is totally unaffected by the body, since the body is simply a projection of the mind and has never left its source in the mind. Our external concerns are simply the projections of the decision of our decision maker to join with the ego. Once we do this, we make separation real, we make our belief in sin real, we experience guilt, and guilt demands that we be punished for it. We then project out our fear of punishment, ultimately the punishment by this avenging deity, who wants to seize back from us the life we believe we stole from him, that we project this out and we become afraid of all kinds of things external to us, things that affect our bodies or the bodies of our loved ones. In this particular case, it's swine flu. It could be nuclear war, it could be famine, it could be AIDS, it could be loss of a job. It doesn't make any difference. The concern would always be the same. It would be that somehow we are going to be punished because we deserve to be punished. And once we believe we deserve to be punished, or there's a danger outside of us, our defensiveness is then justified. Namely, we are then justified in somehow defending ourselves against this threat. Typically, as a threat is seen as constituting an attack on us, our defense would be also some form of attack. This is what's discussed near the end of the text in the section Self-Concept versus Self, where Jesus tells us how we all put on the face of innocence, and this aspect is always acted on. In this case, we are all the innocent or seemingly or expected innocent victims of the swine flu. That is not our problem. And therefore we are justified in defending against this invader. And the invaders, again, could be Homo sapiens, people. It could also be microorganisms, such as a virus or a bacteria. In this case, once again, we're talking about swine flu. So the concern, at the same time that we take the normal precautions to protect our bodies and the bodies of our loved ones, that we above all take precautions to protect our minds, namely, not protect our minds from the ego perceived as the enemy, but protect our minds in the sense, as the third lesson of the Holy Spirit says, to be vigilant only for God and his kingdom. Namely, not that God needs our vigilance, but that we need to be vigilant how we have chosen the ego as a defense against God, or a defense against our choosing God, and that is always the problem. And when we pay attention to that, that is the mind's protection. That is building up the immune system of the mind. And when we are at peace, then our minds would automatically dictate to our bodies whatever it is we should do, or how we should work with others to ensure peace and safety for all people. But the peace and safety must begin within, otherwise there is no peace and no safety. So that the Course's approach to the problem of swine flu, as would be for any other problem, is to use it as a means to heal our own minds. And when our minds are healed, there is a peace that is totally invulnerable to anything that appears to be outside of us.